Hey everyone, sorry I'm not here today, but that's all right because you're going to do an awesome job on your Cornell notes. Today we're talking about equivalent fractions, and so I'm going to talk about generating equivalent fractions if you have one like 4, 6. Now, as long as you do the same thing to the top and to the bottom, or the numerator and the denominator, you can keep that fraction the same. So if I look at 4, 6, I could simplify that. I could divide the top and the bottom by 2, and that would give me 2/3. So what we're saying is if you have a candy bar and you split that up into 6 parts, hopefully equal parts, and you eat 4 of those slices, our little box, I'm picturing a Hershey bar myself, that would be the same exact amount if you ate the same candy bar but split it up into thirds and ate 2 of them. And if you can look at my picture, you can see that it's pretty close. I should have done it up and down. But those are equivalent fractions then, 4, 6, and 2/3. So now what I'm going to do is we are going to watch my candy bar go away and come up with some other equivalent fractions to 4/3. Hey everyone, sorry I'm gone today. I hope that you're listening and you're doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing. We're going to talk about generating equivalent fractions or creating equivalent fractions. So let's go ahead and get started with 4, 6. Now, if I'm picturing a candy bar, which I usually am, and I'm going to try my best to divide this into 6 equal parts, this means I ate 4 parts. So let's shade in 1, 2, 3, 4 out of the 6. All right, now I'm going to go back to my fraction over here, and I'm going to say, I could simplify that. I could divide the top by 2 and the bottom by 2, and that would give me 2/3. Now, if these are equivalent, that means if I take another candy bar the exact same size, only this is a little bit off, but if I divide it into thirds this time, and I eat 2 of the pieces, if 4, 6, and 2/3 are equivalent, that means I ate the exact same amount of the candy bar. And look, I did. Here I ate this much. Here I ate this much. Looks pretty close to me. So 4, 6, and 2/3 are equivalent. So I'm going to try and erase here. And I'm going to go back to that 4/3. 4, 6. So 4, 6, when I divided by 2 on the top and the bottom, I got 2/3. Now, what if I would have multiplied by 2? So I'm going to go back to 4, 6, and I'm going to say, well, 4 times 2 is 8. 6 times 2 is 12. So multiplying the top and bottom by the same number works as well. So 4, 6 is equivalent to 2/3 is equivalent to 8/12. I could look at 8/12 now and work with that. If I doubled both of those, I would get 16/24. I love when kids just multiply by tens. That's an easy one. So if I multiplied 16/24 by tens, I'd get 160 over 240. Or I could multiply 2/3 by 10 on top and bottom, and I'd get 20/30. You can see how I can generate a lot of equivalent fractions in a short amount of time. What you need to remember is it's multiplying and dividing. As long as you multiply the numerator and denominator by the same number or divide the numerator and denominator by the same number, you will end up with equivalent fractions. Now, here's a confusing one. If I have a mixed number, like 1 and 5/12, if I want to generate equivalent fractions, some kids say, all right, let's double everything. And so they say, all right, well, 5 times 2 is 10, 12 times 2 is 24, and then the whole number, 1 times 2 is 2. But these actually are not equivalent. They're not equal because On this side, it says I have 1 candy bar and 5/12 of another. And on this side, it says we have 2 whole candy bars and 10/24 of another. So that is not okay. We don't want to do that. If I back up here, I don't know if it'll let me back up far enough. And I go back to my 1 and 5/12. If I'm generating equivalent fractions for mixed numbers, that whole number needs to stay the same. Now, whatever I do to the 5 and the 12, it has to be the same. So 1 and 10/24, I doubled both of those, would be equivalent. If I wanted to multiply the 5 and the 12 times 3, I would have 1, 5 times 3 is 15, 12 times 3 is 36. So that also would be equivalent. If I want to multiply the 5 and the 12 times 10, I would get 50 over 120, but I can't forget the whole number out front. So here are 3 more fractions that are equivalent to 1 and 5/12. Now you're going to have some practice problems that you're going to do in your Cornell notes on the next slide.